Hello there. Welcome back. Thank you so much for watching these videos, for tuning in to see what's going to come out of my mouth. and, and sometimes I don't even know what's going to come out of my mouth. And that's a good thing because that just means I'm in the flow. But I know that this video is going to be a continuation of the last video that I did on shame. Shame is such a big topic, as I talked about. It's the core wound for a lot of us. It's the root that has a lot of branches that come out of it. And as I watched that video, I felt very strongly that there was another part, another component to healing shame besides the recognition. There's never anything wrong with me. There was never anything wrong with me. There's nothing wrong with me. Besides the self-love activity that I gave you all to do, the unconditional self-love energy, allowing yourself to sit in that, there's another very important component to cleaning up that shame emotional energy, and it's self-forgiveness. We have to forgive ourselves for allowing ourselves to believe that there was ever anything fundamentally wrong with us. We have to forgive ourselves. It's a part of self-reconciliation. You know, when we have these limiting beliefs, they're not even limiting beliefs, the toxic beliefs about ourselves, these painful experiences that create the beliefs that there's something wrong with me. I don't know. I'm lesser than. Other people are this. Other people are that. I'm not this. We start to separate inside ourselves. We start to fragment within ourselves. We start to create these compartmentalized aspects of ourselves that we then hide or disown, right? This is psychology. And it happens. And I've observed myself doing this throughout my life. So I know how this works. So this separation, this fragmentation, we have to do the work of integration. And that means reconciling the parts of ourselves that we've disowned. Reconciling the parts of ourselves that we are ashamed of. Whether it's a part of us, our appearance, something we did that we're ashamed of, whatever that is, or something we experienced that we're ashamed of. We have to reconcile those parts of ourselves. And that means reconciling with ourselves, building that relationship, rebuilding that relationship with ourselves. Because the relationship we have with ourselves is the most important relationship we will have in our lives. So that recognition of, no, that was something I did to myself. At a certain point, we begin to do it to ourselves. And that's the piece that we need to take accountability for. It's no different than if you are in a relationship with someone and they do something to you that hurts you. You can forgive them even if they don't ask for an apology. You can. But I found that it's so much easier when they acknowledge what they've done and they take accountability for what they've done and they ask for forgiveness. Of course I forgive you, because we see that they mean it. We see that they're aware of what it is that they did, that they're taking accountability for what they did. And they're coming to us and asking for forgiveness. It's no different with yourself. Becoming aware, oh, I was holding those beliefs. I was running them against myself. I allowed myself to think that I was less than. And then all of the other consequences of holding those beliefs, holding that energy in my field. I did that to myself. And so this isn't about Because we can get into the cycle of shame where we feel ashamed that we're ashamed and now we're, can just continue in the cycle. No, 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 no. That's not what this is. This is a different energy. This is about loving yourself. This is an aspect of self-love, is holding yourself accountable. It's an aspect of self-love, just like a parent can love their child, hold space for their child to make mistakes and be themselves and grow and evolve and figure things out, but also hold them accountable. It's the same for ourselves. It's exactly the same. So we can hold space for our growth. Acknowledge that there's growth. We're human beings, right? We come into the world as little bitty babies who don't know nothing, don't have a brain, hardly, right? There's growth that has to take place. There's maturity that has to take place. There's a change in consciousness that has to take place. Understand that. And at a certain, until a certain point, we really are at the mercy of our environment. We really are at the mercy of our caregivers, of what's going on in our environment, in our home life. We really are at the mercy of that. And those messages that we receive about who we are, many of which are unloving and unkind and disrespectful and dishonoring. When you're getting those messages from your caregivers, your parents, your siblings, I've heard some stories. The kids on the playground, the being bullied at school, being told you're less than, being told there's something wrong with you. When we're shown conditional love, then we're primed to then show conditional love to ourselves. So I want to make sure that this self-forgiveness process that we're going to go through, that I'm going to talk you through, it's not about judging yourself. It's not about being even more ashamed of who you are and what you've done. And I can't believe I believe it. No, this isn't about self-flagellation. This is about self-awareness. This is about taking responsibility for yourself as an adult and saying, yes, if you were one of the people like myself who unfortunately received conditional love from their parents, conditional love. I only love you if you do what I say. I only love you if you're the person I want you to be. You're behaving in the way that I want you to be. You're living your life the way I want you to live your life. I only love you if. That's conditional love. You have to meet certain conditions. If you were one of the people like me that experienced that, then you are predisposed to having those shame beliefs operating in your operating system, running in the background, pulling you down, disempowering you, telling you you can't do it because there's something wrong with you, telling you you don't deserve to be loved because there's something wrong with you. We heard it from outside of us, and then we internalized it and ran it against ourselves. So this is about taking the power back. Taking the power back from whoever told you there was something wrong with you or made you feel like there was something wrong with you. It's taking the power back and saying, okay, I acknowledge that that's what was shown to me. That's the message I received. I acknowledge that. And at the same time, I have to also acknowledge that there comes a point where I have to take responsibility for the messages that I'm telling myself. I have to take responsibility for the self-talk, the negative, toxic self-talk that I'm inflicting on myself. That's me doing it. And so this self-forgiveness is a part of taking the power back. It's a part of shifting the blame from out there to, wait a minute, what am I doing to myself? Let me take accountability. Let me take responsibility. Let me reconcile with myself. And accountability also means I'm going to take accountability for what I have been doing to myself, but I'm also going to hold myself accountable for how I treat myself now in the present and in the future. I'm not going to talk to myself like that again. I'm going to hold myself accountable. I'm not going to continue to think there's something wrong with me. I'm not going to continue to dishonor and disrespect myself because I love myself. I'm not going to continue doing what was done to me. So, self-forgiveness is really important. What does it look like? It can look like this. Close your eyes. Take that deep breath. Connect with your heart, whether that is putting your hand over your heart, connecting with your heartbeat. And it can be as simple as this. I forgive myself for believing that there was ever anything wrong with me. Fundamentally wrong. I know now that was not the truth. I forgive myself for believing that I was ever less than. I know now that is not the truth. I forgive myself for dishonoring myself, for disrespecting myself, for talking to myself in ways that were unloving. I forgive myself for hurting myself. And I promise that I'm going to treat myself with love and with kindness and with unconditional love moving forward. It's as simple as that. And you can do that with a particular belief that you're trying to shift the energy around. I forgive myself for believing that I was ugly and unattractive. I forgive myself for believing that. I know now that is not the truth. And I promise to myself that I am never going to believe that about myself again, because I love myself unconditionally. It could be that. It could be a particular experience or something that you did that you were ashamed of. I forgive myself for how I behaved in that situation. I recognize I was out of integrity. And I forgive myself for acting in ways that were unloving toward myself and toward others. I forgive myself for that. And I promise to do better. It can be as simple as that. And as I'm doing this, I'm releasing. There's love. There's love in this practice. You're loving the past version of yourself, and you're loving the version of yourself in the present moment. Because you're saying, I got you, girl. I got you. I forgive myself for allowing other people to dishonor and disrespect me and treat me in ways that were unloving and unkind. Again, this is not about if you were a real victim of some circumstance or being abused. That's not what I'm talking about here. But we've all had experiences where we didn't step up and have our backs. We didn't step up and self-advocate. We didn't step up and say, no, you can't talk to me that way. No, you can't treat me that way. We didn't step up and put appropriate boundaries up. And that's okay, because that's where we were in our level of consciousness. That's what growth is all about. That's what evolving is all about. That's what maturity is all about. It's okay. We can also take accountability for that. I forgive myself for allowing that behavior. And I'm promising myself, as an act of self-love, that I'm not going to allow that behavior anymore. You gots to go. Right? That's self-forgiveness. That's it. And I'm smiling right now because, the energy really does shift. When you take your power back, when you engage in this process of self-reconciliation and hold yourself accountable, that's self-empowerment. When you hold yourself accountable and go, no, 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 no. This stops now. I'm not going to talk to myself that way. I'm not going to allow myself to be treated that way. I'm not going to treat other people that way. I'm holding myself accountable. It's so empowering, and it is an act of love. So I feel great. I just feel so much lighter. I feel joyful. That's how we start to do that emotional cleanup work and shift the energy. So I want to encourage you and invite you to do these activities that I've been sharing with you. Commit to doing them every day for, let's say, 2 weeks, and see what happens. Programming the roses, I'm releasing the shame. I'm releasing whatever emotional energy isn't serving me. I am recognizing in this moment that there was never anything wrong with me. There's nothing wrong with me. I am beautiful and unique. I am on my journey. I forgive myself for ever believing there was something wrong with me. I forgive myself for anything that I feel ashamed of, understanding and recognizing that that's where I was in my level of consciousness. That's okay, but I'm taking accountability for it, and I'm promising myself that I'm not going to do it anymore. I'm holding myself to a higher standard for how I treat myself and how I allow other people to treat me. Ooh, baby, that's it. Okay? That's it. So, commit to yourself. Do these exercises. 2 weeks. See how you feel on the other side. Let me know. Put it in the comments. I'd be really, really curious to hear how this all starts to move and work its way out of your energy field. And you start to move from that continuum, those fear, anger, sadness, shame emotions. You're going to start to feel, ooh, I'm feeling a shift energetically. That's what this is all about. Okay? Thank you so much. I love you. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video.